Thank you. Thank you very much, Gift. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And just as Gift said, my name is Arafat, and some of you have seen me in my normal role, which is the UNHCR country representative, but today I'm speaking as the acting humanitarian coordinator and in relation to a humanitarian response. I would like to just begin my remarks by expressing solidarity with all of you. We at the United Nations are very concerned by what seemed to be sometimes some squeezing of the media space. And please accept that we are seized of this matter and very concerned if there are reports that both the media and the civil society is somehow being restricted. The purpose of this briefing is to inform you of a visit that I led yesterday to Ayod County in Jonglei State. This was in response to the flooding. And the reason that I went there was one, to assess the conditions, and two, to draw attention to this situation. The mission that we undertook yesterday was an interagency humanitarian mission, so it comprised humanitarian organizations, for example, OCHA, the World Food Program, NGOs, WHO, and UNHCR. It was also jointly undertaken with the government, in particular the Relief and Rehabilitation Commission and the Bor State, Jonglei State Minister for Roads and Infrastructure. So it was a joint government and humanitarian community mission. Overall, what I would say about this situation is that you all South Sudanese, you know that floods have affected this nation for centuries, if not millennia. So floods are nothing new. But I think what is different now is that we are truly on the edge of climate change and climate catastrophe. What was striking about this particular mission was that the flooding is not like flooding of the past. And I think that had it been a normal year, people are used to floods. They know what to do. They can get to the higher ground. They can survive for a little while. But what we're seeing now is that floods are coming in irregularly, and floods are coming in at a higher intensity than before. So what people told us was that the reason they're in a bad way was that the floods have been intense and unrelenting for 2 years. And I think it's that fact that it's lasting longer than usual is completely deteriorating the ability of the people to cope and to survive. So the first thing is that really we are witnessing the effects of climate change, and it takes place in the intensity and the volume of the flood that is occurring, which is wiping out people's normal coping abilities. Second, what I would say is that the humanitarian needs are very acute and very distressing. On the one hand, all the people that we visited, they were themselves in a bad way, but their main worry was about their brothers and sisters who they thought was even in a worse way. And what they really all said to us was that they are not doing well, but across the river in 4 islands, there are people stranded on these islands. And they spoke of a figure of tens of thousands, maybe up to 30,000, but I can't verify that figure. But really they said that these people are getting submerged. These people have although they are surrounded by water, they have no water to drink, and they are in a bad way. I was not able to directly meet these people because of the conditions, but that is really of concern, and we're looking into what it is that we can do for those people. The ones that we met who are on slightly drier land were also in a very bad condition, and I would say maybe one of the we met many people and they told us of their condition. But I think one of the most moving and shocking things for me was when somebody threw a piece of grass on the ground and he said, "This is what we have to eat." I looked at the grass and I smelt it and it looked like grass indeed. And they said, "We have to eat this. When we eat it, we get upset, our stomachs get upset, we fall sick, but this is all we have to eat." And to me, that really showed that in the midst of all the suffering, it's also human dignity that is affected. If you have to eat grass, you feel like less than a human. And that's what the people conveyed to us. They said, because we asked them what they do, and they said, "We eat this kind of stuff, and sometimes we're able to catch a few fish from the river, but all the grain is gone. It's spoiled by the flooding." Other needs were, of course, very high as well. So they spoke about food, as I mentioned in the first instance. The water is really quite serious, surrounded by water, but it's all dirty and it's bound to cause diseases. Shelter was also an issue of concern to this group. So I'm happy to note that because of this mission, we will be able to mount a response. Again, I'm speaking to people from South Sudan, but for me, in my first time in Ayod County, I'm always amazed at how vast this country is and how remote some places can be. We took a helicopter from Bor, and it took us 2 hours to reach Ayod County. And logistically, and that was us, we were lucky to have a helicopter. Logistically very difficult to reach. But luckily now that we have the attention on Ayod, we'll be able to help those people. But they are not the only people in South Sudan affected by floods. And we know that all over the country. Bentiu, I just got a report this morning of flooding over there, for example. Even throughout South Sudan, there are floods. So we went to Ayod, but our response will be countrywide, and it needs to account in the first instance for the really basic needs of the people. Final observation is that we as the humanitarian community are dedicated and committed to saving lives. This is the humanitarian imperative. But as we move on, my sincere hope is that year after year, we don't simply provide assistance, but we provide a solution to what's happening. The floods are a reality, and we have to adapt to that if we are to fight the effects of climate change. So I'm working also with the development partners to look into what longer-term measures can we put in place. How can we, accepting that floods will occur, how can we help the people to adapt? Their traditional means of adaptation are wearing thin. What new means of adaptation can we give to people, and how can we help them to solve their future? Because the international community continues to give, and to give generously to South Sudan, but who knows? The world is changing. We've seen a pandemic. If we see another shock to the system, the generosity of the world may not be as high as it is, and we have to work now to build the capacity of South Sudan to withstand these shocks. So I'll end my remarks here and open the floor for any questions.